The year is 1517, and the Renaissance is bringing changes throughout Europe. Changes are coming to the Christian church as well. In Rome, Italy, the Pope decides to raise money for the church by selling indulgences, documents that give people the church's forgiveness for crimes and sins. For robbing a church, the price for forgiveness was 9 ducats. For committing murder, the price was 8 ducats. For being accused of witchcraft, 2 ducats. This practice of selling forgiveness and its symbol, the indulgence box, laid the groundwork for a revolution within the Catholic Church. A revolution begun by the priest Martin Luther and called the Reformation. In the 1500s, there was only one major form of Christianity in Western Europe, Catholicism. It was headed by the Pope. By the time of the Renaissance, the Catholic Church had become extremely wealthy and powerful. Many of its priests did not preach to the people anymore. They lived like members of the upper classes and did little for the poor. Europe had been devastated for 2 centuries by the plague, by famines, by wars. People looked to their spiritual leaders for help. This is the world that a young priest by the name of Martin Luther was destined to change. Martin Luther was born into a poor family in Eisleben, Germany. He was the son of a miner, and his childhood was very strict. As a young man, Luther studied to become a lawyer. But when he narrowly escaped being killed by lightning in a thunderstorm at the age of 23, he dedicated his life to God. Martin Luther went back to his studies to become a priest. He entered a monastery and became a biblical scholar. About the same time, Leo X became the Pope. Pope Leo decided to rebuild the Basilica of St. Peter, decorating it with the work of such famous artists as Raphael and Michelangelo. In order to pay for this renovation, which required large amounts of money, Pope Leo authorized the sale of plenary indulgences, special indulgences that removed all sin. In 1517, a Dominican priest named John Tetzel arrived in a small town in Germany to sell these indulgences. In the nearby larger town of Wittenberg, Martin Luther was a professor at the university. He was also a priest with many followers who came to hear his passionate sermons. John Tetzel and his procession of helpers had arrived in town with much fanfare, flags waving, drums beating, bells pealing from the church tower. Tetzel made the speech that he made in each town he traveled to. He told the people that they could purchase forgiveness for crimes and sins not just for themselves, but for departed loved ones whom Catholics believed would be suffering torments in the afterlife until they had paid for their sins. Rich and poor all came forward to purchase as many indulgences as they could. Tetzel assured them that as soon as they dropped the money into the indulgence box, the souls of the dead would fly to heaven. Martin Luther, along with many other Catholics, felt that selling forgiveness went against the teachings of Jesus, and that even the Pope did not have the right to promise to take away sins for money. When John Tetzel found out that a local priest was opposing him, he was furious. He announced that anyone who lacked faith in the Pope's power would be burned at the stake. Martin Luther's life was in danger, but he continued fighting for his beliefs. In 1517, he went into Wittenberg, bringing with him a document that would change the Christian world forever. This document, which some people say Luther nailed to the door of the Wittenberg Cathedral, is called the 95 Theses on the Power and Efficacy of Indulgences. In this document, Luther wrote that the Pope should sell off the wealth of the Church to help the poor, not ask the poor to give up their savings to beautify the basilica. He also wrote that hope to be saved by indulgences is a lying and an empty hope. The 95 Theses of Martin Luther challenged more than the system of indulgences. It challenged the power of the Pope. This was the beginning of the Reformation, so named because the idea was to reform or change for the better the entire institution of the Church. In the years that followed, Luther's ideas were debated across Europe. Luther was declared a heretic or unbeliever and would have been imprisoned or killed except that many of Germany's local rulers supported his ideas. They protected Luther from the Church and urged the authorities not to turn him over. A friend of Luther's, Frederick III of Saxony, kept him safe in a castle in Germany. Pope Leo X gave Luther time to recant or change his position. When Luther refused to recant, Leo excommunicated him. Luther was no longer able to be a priest or a member of the Catholic Church. As part of the Reformation, Luther organized new churches called evangelical churches throughout the parts of Germany where he had friends and the support of the local rulers. In these new churches, many traditional practices were changed. The Bible was translated into German and, for the first time, ordinary people could read it. The churches also allowed priests to marry. Luther himself married a former nun, Katharina von Bora, and raised a large family. By the time Martin Luther died in 1546, the Reformation was quickly spreading across Europe and would eventually spread into North America as well, becoming one of the most powerful movements in religious and social history.